What's up, T3? What's up, my church security people? Last night I kept getting the same question over and over, so I'm going to be covering different topics that we do teach in our church security classes. And, a lot of people don't think anything about restraints, okay? If you have a bad guy and you take him down, what do you do with him? Do you stand with him under your foot until the police arrive? Stand there holding a gun on him all day long, your arms are going to get a little tired, and you may lose focus, and he may get the upper hand again if you don't watch him, especially if he's not restrained. So naturally, most teams, once they do the first couple of arrests, they say, we may need some handcuffs, right? But did you know that you could really injure those nerves in the hand if you don't know how to properly handcuff? Did you know that if you handcuff a certain type person wrong and you set him down on that ground restrained, he could suffocate in just a few minutes? That's right, you could cause a life by restraining him with a pair of handcuffs. And I know you guys that are saying, how is this possible? If you don't know, that shows that you need training from us. You need training from somebody that knows how to properly restrain. You don't even have to get into it if you have the proper training and you're reading the body language, okay? Body language, it speaks to you just in the way somebody stands, in the way they look at me, in the way they hold their arms, in the way they hold their hands. That can give me a lot of good indicators of what their intention is, okay? Just by clenching my fist, I may be showing that I'm thinking about attacking, or there again, it may be saying, I'm nervous about something. But you need to take those indicators and put them in the proper perspective and understand what that person's trying to tell you before it ever happens, okay? Body language can tell me whether you're telling me the truth or not. Understanding whether the bad guy is telling me the truth or not is big. I've had a psychiatrist one time. I took a guy for an evaluation, and he come outside and he said, Alberto, if you don't mind, will you go back in there and see if you think this guy's lying to me? I really can't tell if he's a threat to himself or others, so I'd like your opinion on it. And I'm like, Doc, you're the professional, you're a psychiatrist. He said, yeah. He said, but I read a study where police officers are the number one lie detector, if you will, because they do it so much. And I went in there, and about 2 seconds, I told him, I said, after I heard him speak and just looking at his body mainly, just looking at the way he was speaking and the way he was positioning his bodies, I told him, I said, I'm not going to believe anything this man says. And he said, he hadn't really said anything yet. I said, I can tell you by his posture, he's being deceptive in my book. And, I'm not saying he took my opinion. He may or may not have, but I'm just saying, as a police officer, I've learned to read body language, and it's been critical to doing my job properly. And it tells me whether to attack or not. And that is what's so hard. When you got a guy who's, cutting up in church, how do you know when you're going to attack? It's easy when he pulls a gun and starts shooting. You know what you got to do. But what if he's just standing there, gritting his teeth and balling his fist? Is he about to attack? Is he nervous? That's what we can offer. How to read bodies. How to clear a pathway. Now, it's one thing to go into church in an open auditorium and clear that auditorium. But what if the bad guy runs into the Sunday school parts and he hides? And maybe even, worst case scenario, takes a hostage or several hostages, let's say the children. And I have to work my way from the main auditorium into these classes, okay? And I'm kind of make openings here so you can kind of see the door, and there's a door here. How do I move from here to here to here to here safe as possible? I'm trying to evaluate this room from the outside as much as possible. I can gain knowledge of this 90% of this room using our techniques without having to enter that room. I'm evaluating that room before I enter it. That's the safest way to do it in my book. You may know something better. But more complicated than that is, how do we as a team move in that direction and not stumble over each other and not bump into the wall? Because you know what? In this situation, you bump into a wall, you may get shot at. In this situation, somebody has some keys that are attached to their belt loop and they're jingling. That may get you killed. That may get you shot at. So, you know, there's a lot of people that's not understanding what we have to offer. If you don't know how to do all this, if you know, and even if you've got that special response team member in your church, you know, there's a whole different ball of wax from teaching a police officer who's already tactically minded and teaching a civilian that's never shot a pistol how to move in this type of situation. Okay, we have a 2,200 square feet house to practice in. Okay, you know, transitioning how to clear to how to clear and shoot, we can do that almost in real time, as realistic as possible. Is that important? You better believe it is. You better believe it is.
Red, white,